direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. Now, you may have noticed I've been away for a few weeks. Don't worry, I am absolutely back. It's on like Donkey Kong for the rest of this year. Today, we've had a bit of a change of fucking plan, to be honest with you. Had a bit of a change of plan. Will Sparks, he's coming on the podcast shortly, and he was meant to be here today in my mind, but in his mind he's meant to be here next month, so that's next month. But today I have an even more exciting guest because of the time that we're going to be dropping this content. We are going to be talking about social dynamics, and honestly, it's a topic that's fascinated the fucking life out of me, especially talking to my mate Sam about it. Mr. Sam Matheson.
Thank you, Frankie.
Welcome,
thanks for having me.
Welcome to the podcast, my man. Welcome.
It worked
to the
out.
podcast.
Like, you know, thing goes down, Will's down in fucking Melbourne. I come in, slot.
Yes,
boom.
mate. We were gonna do it anyway. It all worked out. It all worked out.
It's funny like that,
mate. Social dynamics. We're going to blow people's minds with this topic and some of the stuff that we're going to help people figure out through this podcast. I have no doubt about that, and how things from their childhood and from previous relationships affect things going forward. And we've talked in depth about that, about my life and about your life and about how it's affected you. And obviously there's been so much value in that. But mate, to give people a bit of a context into how you even get it, well, first, what is social dynamics, and then tell them how you got into social dynamics.
Yeah, for sure. Well, social dynamics is basically everyday communication. So whether that's you're dealing with your boss, whether that is you're dealing with someone that you're really attracted to, whether that's you want to make friends, you've joined a new school and you know no one. It's basically human communication is the biggest way to describe it, and learning how we're very social creatures, and from that you kind of develop skills as a young kid to deal with the world of social dynamics, of social interaction with people.
Yeah, and I think like it's fair to say that there's a lot of people out there that struggle.
Yeah, they do a little bit.
struggle with this topic.
I mean, like I was one of them. I struggled a lot with it. You know what I mean? It's such a topic that's like, you know, you don't get taught how to really talk to people. You don't get taught. It's not a subject in school, is it?
Yeah.
Really, probably really should be, but it's not. You know, you go to school, you go in the class, and then the teacher's like, "Shut up! Don't talk to the person next to you."
Yeah.
You know,
I love the analogy that we had before the podcast when we were talking about how we're going to drop this and how we're going to describe it. And you were talking about the 6 foot jacked, good looking guy, and how a lot of these, you know, let's not stereotype everybody. There's a lot of jacked guys that can talk to women, but you know, stereotypically there are some of these guys that can't talk to women, and the reason why they can't talk to women is because if they've had everything given to them, like all the genetic gifts and this, that, and the other, they've never had to develop the conversational skills to go with it.
Yeah,
that's what you were saying. Whereas you get the little bald guy like me, who has to have some chat because he's got no fucking hair follicles.
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like the geezer's got no hair. He's got to do something. Do you know?
You learn to do it because it's like we're animals at heart, and we want attention. You know, some people do, some people don't. But as a kid, you know, it's like, oh, I've got to be heard, I've got to be seen, even as a young kid, and that's what it comes and develops. Where you're now, it's like you know how to talk to anyone, anytime, any place. Which is amazing because you had to do that. You had to be seen. You had to be heard.
Yeah, 100%.
You didn't have all the generic gifts that a lot of people do.
100%, mate. Yeah, exactly. If I'd had the comb over, bro, I don't think I'd have a podcast right now. Do you know what I mean?
Frankie in accounting or something.
I'd 100% be an Instagram model and I'll be cashing in.
Yeah, it's like, this is me at Surfers. What's up, guys?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Love that.
Give us a bit of a background into how you got into it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So basically, when I was a kid, I started off as just a normal kid, and then I got into the professional world of golf, and I loved golf. Golf was my outlet. Golf was my thing where I could express myself, and I loved more the team environment as a kid. I played cricket and all that sort of stuff, but golf was the one that really stuck with me. It's about, you know, perfecting a craft, perfecting something that is almost unperfectable. That's what golf is. You can't really perfect it. And so from there, what that actually drove me towards was I could make friends with Gladys or Graham, the 80-year-olds at the golf club, but there wasn't that many young kids playing, you know, especially at my golf club. There was none. And from there, that kind of isolated me a lot. And some people can feel that. They get very isolated as a kid, whether maybe their parents are divorced and they're an only child, whether their brothers and sisters are older and they've moved down and they're the only kid there. They have a period of isolation, and that was me. And through that time, I then moved to an all-boys Catholic school. And it would even more isolated me because I didn't have interactions with girls or anything like that. And from that, I lost a lot of my ability to relate and talk to people at all. I could talk to the old people, and I was like, why aren't the old people like the young people, you know? I could talk to them about, you know, finance or stocks as like a 13-year-old, but I couldn't relate to anyone my age, and I couldn't attract anyone into my life, not even friends, not even people that were attracted to. I'd always stuff it up. And as I got older and older, it started to become very much more prevalent as I got older, and then got into, you know, kind of a few relationships. But if you really break them down, they were the ones that chose me. I never chose them. I never had the ability to attract anyone in my life, or, you know, friends. You broke it down, you're like, really, they were only friends with me because of they chose to be, not because I chose them or I attracted them into my life. As I got further and further along, one of the things was that I came to a point where I was like, I was trying different things. I mean, I'm very public with this. There was a very beautiful girl in my city and wanted to get to know her. End up saying, hey, I can provide all this stuff for your birthday, all these drinks, you know? And she was like, she never talked to me. She was like, yeah, sweet. And I thought, I'm in. I'm like, sweet, I'm in. You know what I mean? From there, I go there and she's like, yeah, I'll take 16 vodka Red Bulls. And I'm like, sweet. I told her I had a connection in the bar, ended up paying for it all. And then that happened 4 or 5 times, ended up spending $1,600 just to get to know someone, because I never knew how male or female dynamics worked. I never knew how friendship dynamics worked or any sort of dynamic. And I was trying to interact with people. You know, I tried to become a DJ. I thought that was the cool. I was like, oh, I'll become a DJ and like get to know people. That didn't work out, or this. And so I was trying it as a kid just to relate and understand and be able to make friends and talk to people. And then a pivotal moment happened. So what happened was I got a girlfriend and she ended up breaking up with me, and we worked across the road from each other, and that spiraled me down really heavily. I was about 18, 19, you know. So then from there, it started to become a drug addiction, actually. I couldn't sleep at all. So it starts from one. Yeah.
So you literally had zero sleep from it?
Yeah. So because I was so heartbroken, I was literally, you know, I was very heartbroken. It was the first love.
This breakup had given you some kind of social anxiety?
Well, if anything, it's like I had to move locations because I kept seeing her. I had to do all these, like I couldn't sleep, I couldn't think, you know, crying all the time as a young kid because I'm like, I can't figure this world out. I didn't know the dynamics. I didn't know we were kind of not in a relationship and in a relationship at the same time and stuff. I just didn't know the socializing part of everything. And from there, couldn't sleep. So I started taking rest of it, which is a sleeping medication. And then that turned into painkillers, and that turned into sleeping tablets more and more and more. And there was a point where I actually liked the feeling of waking up like a truck had hit me. That's at the point that's how depression set in.
That's when you know you're in
I was in a bad place. Yeah, for sure. And so what happened was that continued on for about 8 or 9 months. And then there was a point where I was like, you know what? So I couldn't go to my local chemists at all because they'd know me, right? So I had to drive to different chemists to get the drugs. Otherwise I would have been caught. Got a bunch of them and actually popped them all out one day. And I was at the point where I was like, no, this is really bad. And I wasn't thinking right. I was thinking drug affectedly. I was thinking just completely different. So I popped them all out, got a big jug of Mount Franklin. I was like, this is it. You know, this is going to be it. I'm going to take this. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to end up, mum will find me or something like that. And right before I did, I always had a fascination with YouTube. I used to love YouTube. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a search. Just one last search. Have some sort of feeling, you know, because I was just numb, you know, and YouTube was the only thing that gave me some sort of emotion. And from there, I ended up finding this guy that was teaching like social skills. So I must have typed in, you know, how to get over a breakup or something like that. And one video led to another, which led to a company. And, you know, I spent the next hours, 6-7 hours looking at this. I didn't sleep that night. And I just got consumed by this world of social dynamics, about the understanding of male-female dynamics, the understanding about interactions with people, put all the drugs in the bin. And then from there, I then binge-watched every bit of content that this company had on interactions and communication. And it literally changed my life. And then from there, I ended up becoming, flying over, buying all their products.
So really becoming indoctrinated as a customer of this business.
As a full-blown customer. And one of the things was, you know, they preach you and help you go out and socialize with people at nightclubs, you know, gain attraction within people, gain sort of, you know, a few, you know, a better understanding about how male and female dynamics work, how interactions in general work too.
Is this these companies that teach like a lot of men cold approach to women and stuff like that?
100%.
This is kind of those kind of companies.
So yeah, the company was based in that. So everything's got to be based in something, whether it's, networking, getting better at networking. You go down the rabbit hole and you get to a place where everything gels. If you take the cold approach work, you got to niche that down until it comes to all social dynamics again. So everything you take, whether it's making friends, business connections, interpersonal relationships with, male and female, female and female, male and male, whatever it is, it all funnels down into social dynamics and human behavior. And from there, the funny thing was, I ended up getting so indoctrinated, so enthralled by this company and how it made me feel better. It made me feel like there was hope. It made me feel like I could progress and get better at myself. So I went out. I was going out. I think it was 7 nights a week to the nightclubs, talking to people. I was going out in the lunchtime, in the morning before work. I was just talking to as many people as possible. I was cold approaching as many
different backgrounds, different
so
types.
Whether it was a girl that I was very, very attracted to and I thought she was amazing, I'll go up and try to strike a conversation. Whether it was a guy that was sitting down on a park bench, I'd just say, "Oh, what's going on, bro?" Like, I would just immerse myself in social interactions. Whether it was Jean that was feeding the pigeons and there was like 50 around her or something, I'd just go talk to her. From there, it's like I got to understand by repetition and consistency how to actually interact with people, how to put myself out, how to make my energy not reclusive, like it was just me and I don't want to talk to people, and try to make it expansive and more of a collaborative mind frame with people. And from there, it's like that's when it got very, very good. So I ended up flying over to Miami, asking the owner of the company whether I can assist for him, and I ended up becoming a teacher for that company.
After doing the reps yourself.
After doing the multiple reps, and we're talking a lot. We're talking 10, 20,000 cold approaches I did in a very short amount of time, talking to as many people as possible. And from there, being able to teach in 34 cities around the world, millions of people are worldwide.
Mate, it's pretty special when you think about it, that someone who's so switched off from interacting with people goes from that to interacting with tens of thousands of people
100%,
and then perfects the art of interacting with people at all different levels and all different places. Do you know what I mean? In different countries as well. So there's a lot to that. Where do you think that most people fall down when interacting with people?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a lot of the time what happens is that whether it's someone you're attracted to or any sort of friendship basis, they rely on other people to provide that friend, right? So let's take an example. If you've got one friend, you say you got one friend, typically they'll have 3.2 other best friends, right?
Right.
And so if you go like that, if you've got yourself as one, you've got 3.2 other best friends and they've got 3.2, and you add it up and it's like 3, 6, 9 plus the 3 is 12. So there's only 12 potential people that you can meet from that one particular person, right? So they rely on that other person and they expect them to bring new friends, and they expect other people to do the work for them, instead of going out and cultivating this idea that I have to be proactive and I have to go out and talk to people. And I think a lot of the time it's like stranger danger was a big thing that was instilled with us as a kid, you know what I mean? And it's a great thing because obviously it helps a lot of, young people, to be safer. But as we get older, that mentality really is manipulated in our head to think that every single person we come in contact with is a stranger. I don't want to get to know them. You start putting your guards up, you start putting your walls up, and that's not the mentality you should have.
Because there's a lot of these analogies that go through, like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And you can only count all your friends on you can only have 5 friends, on one hand. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of these old sort of like motivational or demotivational quotes out there around friendship. And I've kind of like come to the conclusion now that you speak to everybody. Do you know what I mean? Speak to everybody. Try and understand everyone where everyone else is sitting.
Yes,
and
definitely.
One thing I've learned in the last 2 months that's revolutionised my life is don't take things personally.
Yeah, great book.
Right?
What was it? The 4 agreements.
The 4 agreements, bro.
Well,
it's a phenomenal. If any of you guys want a book to read, go read the 4 agreements. I'm telling you now, it'll change your life.
That one's amazing. Yeah,
because it stops you. If you don't assume, then you've got no, do you know what I mean? You can't get into these dark places that you can throw yourself around in.
Yeah.
I would lie there in bed at night and assume something about someone, and it would piss me off.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, why am I going there?
Yes.
You don't need to go there. Do you know what I'm saying? And that would be a constant pattern in my life about certain things.
You know, something happens and you assume the worst, or you assume that they did it in a malicious way, and you're like, you can conjure these ideas in your head, and you can literally fabricate the truth by that. You know, so it didn't actually happen at all.
You create it. I realize in my personal life, as honest as I can say it, that 80% of the situations that have pissed me off in life, I've created myself by thinking about things in the wrong context or in the wrong light. And I can only see that now at like 32 years old.
Yeah.
Like, so you really have to be honest with yourself to be able to admit that. And what I'm trying to tell everyone listening to this today is the fact that I guarantee you it is the same for you as well.
Yeah.
You just probably need to hold the mirror up to yourself and be honest about the fact that a lot of these things that you count as like bad situations in your life, just say for argument's sake.
Yeah.
Some of these situations you're looking at with 8 or 10-year-old eyes. Like, you know what I mean? They're from your childhood. You've got to look at them again, but in a different context and from a different perspective than what you're looking at when you're 8 or 10.
100%.
And people aren't doing it, man. And then they carry it through their life. And then you try and have a relationship with these people later on in life. And they're like a little bit damaged from it.
A little bit, yeah.
But they've not tried to fix it yet.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a trauma somewhere along the lines, and that precedes them and keeps, is with them for a long time. Then they start to find little bits of evidence that kind of stimulate the fucking, the trauma.
Let's talk about this. I
exactly, because that's a great thing. It's like, so what happens is in the brain, I'm trying to riddle my brain for the right terminology so you guys get it. And I probably will say it a couple of times and see if I can get it. But what the brain does is the brain's fascinating, when you really, really get into it. I'm reading so many books about it and understanding that. So there's this idea where Take something happens, right? A crime and stuff like that. It's not uncommon to get 13 different accounts by 13 different eyewitnesses.
100%.
Just little bits are different, and that it comes down to. So there's a great thing called the reticular activation system, right? Yeah. The reticular activation system's in the brain, and what it is our selective focus, right? So because I think it's like 4 million bits per second come through our eyes and have to be kind of stored and sorted through, we only select a certain bit of it that's the most important. So there's still, 3.9, hypothetically 3.9 million bits of information that we've offseted because it's not important to us. Just the 100,000 bits of information that was really important. So if I said to you, Frankie, and I said, hey, Frankie, today is National Yellow Car Day today, right? And you're like, sweet, okay, National Yellow Car Day today. I'm going to go outside and
you're going to see yellow cars everywhere.
You're going to see yellow cars everywhere. It's like, don't think of the pink elephant, right? Hypothetically, as soon as you think of pink elephant. But today it's like National Yellow Car. So then you start to have a look and you're like, you might not see any at the start. Then you're like, oh, there's a yellow car. There's a yellow car. Oh my God, like it is true. And the
because you've sensitized yourself to find it.
And then you come back and then he's like, bro, it was National Yellow Car. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, Frankie. It was actually National Blue Car Day today. Look, have a look. There's the article. And you're like, well, I don't know, it's not. No, it's yellow. And I'm like, no, it's blue. And so, but basically what's happened is you've selectively focused on what you've been told, right? So hypothetically, I told you it's yellow and that's all you've seen. You saw no blue cars at all because you weren't looking for it. And that's what a lot of people come to. They get put an idea or belief in their head, as a young kid, and they will find evidence to back that theory up.
And not just in their childhood, right the way through their life. They'll back that shit up right the way through their life.
100%.
And I'll be the first one to say that there's many things that I've disproved to myself as not factually true that I've been riding and holding on to since I was a kid.
Yes.
And the reason why this podcast is so timely and the reason why I believe this was meant to happen today is because I fundamentally think that, this is something that the world has to hear in terms of like, you have to fucking get over yourself. Like in terms of like, not everything that you're told or believe as a child or in early adult life needs to affect you into your 30s, into your 40s, into your 50s. Like forever.
You can go to the 80s and 90s and you still see those people in their 80s and 90s that still believe those things, because even as much as we say this to the audience and they hear this, remember their brain is a self-preservation machine. So by us saying to them, like, you know, a lot of the things that you believe in aren't actually true, you've just found evidence in this ether world that's backed that theory up, the brain will like, nah, that's not true. What they're saying is not true. And then they're going to find little bits of evidence that back that theory up, because the brain doesn't want to look at itself and say, I've fucked up for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
The brain doesn't want to do that. I don't want to blame myself that I've actually ruined my life. I don't want to be that honest with myself, because remember, it's a self-preservation machine. And because if your whole reality crumbles, you're crumbling, the brain's crumbling, the ego's crumbling, and it doesn't want to do that. So that's the greatest thing. It's like, no matter what you say to people, until they really, really internalize it and be like, holy shit, like a lot of the things that have not been true. You've had these like blinders on for most of your life, and then when you take the blinders off, it's like the pill, you know,
100%.
like the Matrix, and you're like, holy, like crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Because like if you look at like how men and women approach relationships, a lot of the breakdowns in relationships, even from my personal experience with my breakdowns with women, have all been on the similar type of topics and the similar type of narratives.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now, but then once you start to learn this shit, and once you start to like embrace the fact that, you know, this shit's true,
this is where real change happens.
You can position yourself to change the situation. You can actually make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Because like you got to treat the issue, not always. Basically, what I'm trying to say in no certain context or no uncertain context is this: everything that happens to you is your fucking fault, right? As soon as you accept that statement, you can move forward.
Yeah.
You can move forward. The situation you're in right now, the job you're in, the relationship you're in, how you feel, how you turn up to the world, all your fucking fault. And you can change it right now in this moment.
100%. There was a quote that really impacted me a lot. Jocko Wilkins, so I can't remember his last name, Willis. He says in the book that, you know, there's a hypothetical scenario. There's someone standing at a traffic light, and there's, you know, they're waiting for the traffic light, and a car comes and swerves and kills them. Who's at fault there?
Say it again.
So there's a guy standing at a traffic light, a guy or girl standing at a traffic light, just waiting, patiently doing the right thing. There's a car coming down. The car swerves and hits the pole and kills them. Whose fault is it?
It's her for standing there at the traffic light.
Well, yeah, hypothetically, everyone says the car driver, because, you know, they were swerving and they hit the thing. But he says, no, you have to take 100% responsibility of every action of your entire life.
Yeah.
And when you take responsibility, what it does is it takes any sort of outside influence out.
Yeah.
And it's just you. You have 100% control of you. So when you give your power to the outside influence, that's when the unpredictability comes, and that's where it's like, but when you can, you know, it's, you know, 100% responsibility, my fault, not blaming yourself, but taking 100% responsibility, that's when there's no outside influence that changes anything. It's just you.
But it empowers you by doing that.
Yeah.
I used to say, this person makes me feel this way. This person makes me feel this way. Right. This person makes me feel that way. No, Frankie boy, you're talking absolute shit, mate. Like, the fact of the matter is, you choose how you feel, and no one makes you feel any way. That boyfriend, girls, that ex-boyfriend does not make you feel less than what you are. You make yourself feel less than what you are.
Yeah, I had a client recently, and he said, you know, I want people to stop lying to me, so when they lie to me, I'm going to call them out. And I said, hang on, take a step back. How are you lying to yourself? And I kept pestering, how are you lying to yourself? How are you lying? How are you lying? Where are you lying to yourself? And you get really down to the truth that
a lot of the time, ask yourself like the 5 whys. They say like, oh, why are you like that? And then you answer it. And if you answer it honestly, and then you go, why? And then why to that statement? And then why to that? It takes you further. And then eventually you get to the real truth, because you've asked yourself that many questions. And if you're honest with yourself at every time, you get to the crux of the actual issue and where the fundamental issue was formed. Yes. And then that's what they term as a trigger. And then once you found the trigger, you can go back and look at how that first trigger came into your life, and then extinguish that trigger from your life, because you deal with it with different set of eyes. So if that trigger was formed when you were, say, 8 years old, and you've gone back and gone why, and answered all the questions and really took yourself down this rabbit hole, you can now go back and look at it with in my case, 32-year-old eyes, and understand that the way you were looking at it that day that gave you that judgment was fucked.
Yes.
You were fucking 8 years old. You can't blame yourself for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
you don't need to carry this pebble around.
Take the the greatest one that everyone, a lot of them has, is abandonment issues, right? It's like they had the one little thing that is as you said, the rose-colored glasses that, as an 8-year-old, let's just say, and mum was late because there was traffic and her phone died and there was certain simulation that will crash. But you as an 8-year-old think, oh, she's abandoned me. Like, she doesn't love me. She doesn't do anything. Yep. And then now you've come up and conjured this idea. You're now going to pick evidence through the RAS. You're going to pick evidence out.
Yeah,
where mum was just fucking trying to get there. She was trying to do as much as she could. But now that your whole reticular activation is focused on finding the faults in your mum, that's how you start this whole cycle. And the more you look for something,
the more you'll find it. Yeah. Exactly right. And again, it's something that I've seen repeat in my life and I've seen repeat in many others outside mine. And it's like, if you want to find it, you'll find it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's like when a girl or a guy, we'll say, goes through someone's phone, they'll find something. You know what I mean? Even when there's nothing, even when there's absolutely nothing, they'll find something.
If you want to be pissed off, if you in that moment, a lot of people want to be pissed off. This is the truth. A lot of people they're like, oh, life's going too good. I want to be pissed off at something. Yeah. And they go and seek it. But they don't even realise they're going to seek it. They go and seek unhappiness. They go and seek drama in their life. Yeah. I see this in like a lot of friend groups and we were talking about this before the podcast.
Yeah.
If everything's peaceful, someone wants to find some drama so they can all have a conversation, because what you're telling me about people like bond over that shit, don't they?
I want to get to that. Let's go back to that. It's like, why do they do those things? Why do they seek the drama? And it's because it makes them feel good. They like the drama. It makes them feel something in this numbing world that we live in. That's what they like. A lot of the time we are walking around in this unconscious state, right? And that's what I was before I understood the whole world of social dynamics. I was unconscious. I wanted to learn. I wanted to get better, but I really didn't. I was unconscious to the fact that it actually took time and diligence and determination.
Yeah.
And so when it's like no one does anything, like I was probably 7 or 8 with my dad, and we used to live, and there was a massive druggy guy that lived next to us, right?
Yeah.
And he said to my dad, he's like, you don't think I do heroin because I don't like it? And it opened my eyes up. You don't think I do everything because I like to do it. You know what I mean? That's a lot of people. It's like if you really are honest, they love the drama. They love the excitement because they feel something,
Yeah.
And, if you can have all these traumas, as we said before, it's like you can really, really shut off to the world, and you can think like that's the only way they get some stimulation in their life. Which is really cool. Now, if we go straight back onto the bonding stuff that we were talking about, how, that people do bond over different situations. I was just telling Frankie before the podcast, it was like I had a client who bonded over negativity. So, let's just say you guys are at a retail store and it's like, I fucking hate the boss, Oh, me too. I hate the boss too. Oh,
there's common ground there now.
He did that. But what happens is that the fundamental of making friends is mutual commonalities, mutual interest. There's a mutual understanding between each other that we like or we do not like these things. If it's me and you, we like podcasting, we're going to relate a podcast of what do you have here, what do you have there? Oh, look at the setup. If it's rock climbing, I was doing that. I almost slipped over the reds over there the other day, or the blacks, the black ones over there, or the, the karate or something. I'm a white belt, I'm a red belt, I'm a black belt, or anything like that. It's like, that's where your commonalities. So when people either bond over negativity, over positivity, over drama, over, high vibrational energy, over drugs, over alcohol, over, any sort of pleasures or emotions, they really, really do bond over it. And that's funny kind of thing, because as you said, it's like all through this, it's like people can bond over drama.
And that's why it's always true. Well, not always, but in a lot of cases it's true. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Because I'm always worried, or it always raises my attention when I see a group of people that are doing certain things in life, and then one person says, "I'm not like them." Do you know what I mean? And I'm always like, "Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's real cool. I hope you're not." But that's not what the narrative says.
100%.
And I'm saying...
Jim Rohns, again,
Yeah.
the 5 closest people to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, again, you show me your network and I'll show you your net worth.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
There's all these kind of things, the terminology, who you spend your time with really affects, like,
Where it shows you where you're going.
100%. Just through osmosis. And the term osmosis is basically that you take outside influences, you draw off the environment.
Yeah.
The factors that are going on. So if you're around, all your best friends are mentors to you, you're going to gain all that information because you're just hanging out with them. You're seeing their day-to-day life. You're seeing their little interactions. By me just being here, I'm looking at your setup and I'm osmosisly drawing all the feedback and all the bits of information, conjuring up in my head these ideas of like, oh, I could do this, or ideas or this and that.
Yeah.
Through osmosis, So if you're hanging around, really, really bad people, you're a byproduct of your environment.
Yeah, and it's not so much even that the people are inherently bad.
No, they're
right?
not.
It's like sometimes people hang around with people that they're all right people. They're doing all right things. But they're not doing what they want to do. They're not going where they want to go to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't entirely align with their mentality. They don't entirely agree with what they're doing. They don't entirely agree with the way they speak to people or the way they treat other people. But yet they keep themselves in the presence of that person.
Yeah, they see it once and they're like, oh, well, they'll justify and rationalize, like, oh, it wasn't like that, it wasn't like that, it wasn't like that, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, it's like one little slip. It's like when you go to the gym and you miss a couple of days. How much do you feel like going on that 3rd day or that 4th day?
Yeah.
You're going to self-rationalize every sort of little area. Oh, no, like, I don't want to feel sore for tomorrow. I've got a big day, Self-rationalization. So, and this is how people become very, very lazy because they self-rationalize in their head. Remember the reticular activation, focusing on what, they don't want, you know what I mean? Oh, I don't want to feel sore for this. Or I don't want to feel, like I twinged my shoulder at gym the other day. I don't want to do that. All these little things that are just rationalizations in their head to make them and their narrative, as you said, in alignment with what they believe,
Yeah, 100%. Even when I'm in the gym, let's just put it in a gym context.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the gym, or my personal trainer, George, he's telling me about, I'm going to do this weight. In my head, I listen to myself and I'm telling myself that I can't lift that.
No, I can't do that. Yeah.
Frankie, you don't lift that. That's not you. That's not you, mate. That's not you.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to train myself not to get into that, because the times when I get into that, guess what happens? You turn up and perform exactly the way you tell yourself you're going.
Yeah.
Right? But when I go in there and I'm focused and I'm like, do you know what? I'm just gonna have the best go I can ever have it this way.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It works out a hell of a lot better
every time. It's the Goggins, the 40%.
And you've just got to change your mindset. But that goes for the whole of life, not just the gym.
Yeah, everything relates to each other. It's really, really crazy. And that's why, as we said, social dynamics is like, it's all intertwined. Whether you're asking your boss for a promotion, whether you're asking that girl out on a date, whether you're communicating with your mum and trying to get her to invest in something, or think about a retirement fund, or this or that, or quitting work, or everything, talking to your little sister about what you're going to do with it, everything is interconnected.
So if people are listening to this and they're like, and they can start to identify within themselves that there's certain things in life that they're probably doing that they probably want to stop, or that people they hang around with that they probably don't want to hang around with, or they would like to be able to talk better with women or men, or they'd like to be able to just communicate better in general, where should they start and what should they do in terms of getting into that process so they can change what they're doing now?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. So the first thing to do is to think about yourself as like, we'll draw a circle and that's you, right? This is your little comfort zone. All your habits or your behaviors are in your comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In your circle of competence as well.
And a comfort zone means, say if someone's deathly terrified to go skydiving, of heights and stuff like that, that is a fear and an anxiety. Outside of that, jumping out of a plane, that's outside of their reality, outside of their comfort zone. That's what it means by comfort zone. So from there, you got to think about wherever you are, you're there by the byproducts of your decisions, right?
Yeah.
So wherever you are, you're a byproduct of your decisions. Whether that's outside influences affected you, whether it's your own doing, just whatever makes you feel good to think about and to say, whether it's, oh, they've done stuff to me, or, I've done that. Some people don't like to be that honest with themselves and say everything I've done is because of my fault,
Yeah.
Sometimes they can't do that because it was like, oh no, well, George fucking, he hit my car yesterday, that's why I had to, they'll self-rationalize. So whether it's, you think of, other people's doing or you, whatever makes you feel good. But it's the understanding that it's okay. It's like, well, if you, where you are, you're actually comfortable with. You're comfortable being there. Even if you want to go to your future, right? Even if you have this future idea of yourself, you're still comfortable where you are. And what you have to do is this idea I call, it's called the evolution. It's kind of like the Pokemon, you know, the Charizard becomes, the Charmander becomes the Charizard.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of evolves up. That's kind of like you and the ideal version of yourself.
Yep.
Is you are here and they're an alien. And when you're there, you're the alien back here and that's you there. So it's kind of like this foreign land that you have to go to. The first thing that I do is finding your comfort zone and pushing through it. That's number one. So it might be you're deathly afraid to ask that girl out at work or something like that. That's over the other side of your
Comfort zone,
your horizon. What do you think makes you change?
By introducing yourself to that woman, by
doing it.
By doing it, yeah.
By doing it. The emotions that you feel, the endorphins, everything that you're doing is outside. The ideal version of you is not staying in the bubble that you are. It's actually leaving that bubble because that's how it grows and that's how it evolves.
Yeah.
That's how it evolves. So the first thing to do is identify where your comfort zones are. And I'll give you scenarios that we do, right, with my clients. It's like, okay, first one, you're walking down the street and you're going to clap for 2 minutes straight. Just clapping, just like as loud as you can. Everyone's looking at you. How are you feeling? How does that make you feel?
You're like, probably, if you're not a confident person, you're thinking to yourself, fucking hell, I'm making a bit of a dick of myself right now.
Yeah, okay. You know, you probably start like this, you know, no clapping.
Yeah.
Next one. What about busy line, right? And you've got to lie down on the floor and do 20 push-ups.
I reckon I'd smash that.
You smash it. You'd be a good one, you know what I mean?
I reckon I'd smash the clapping as well, to be honest.
Okay, let's scale these up a little bit more then. All right? So if Frankie thinks he can do it. Number 2, you go up to a person that you might be attracted to, or, you know, a person that you are attracted to, and you tell a story that goes nowhere.
Now, this is difficult.
How's that one?
This is difficult because you've got me to do this before.
Yeah. and the emotions start to feel. I know everyone listening is like, that gets them. That gets them in the chest. You know what I mean? That feeling of like, oh my God, like, you know, theoretically.
Mind you, a lot of people I know tell stories that go nowhere.
That go nowhere, or jokes that are dad jokes and stuff. You know, you can just scale those up. You know, you can introduce yourself as someone else to someone. And you've got to play that whole character. That could be scary to someone. And these are all just confidence and fear mechanisms to get yourself, because what your brain does is thinks, if I do that, I'm going to get killed. And that's what the brain thinks. It's like your fear of rejection, your fear of, you know, failure is all because back in the day in evolutionary psychology, they talk about in the tribes, if you fucked up, you're out. And what happens when you get kicked out of the tribe? You're not initiating another tribe without a fight, and usually that fight results in you versing their king or their tribesman, their leader, and you end up dying. So that's why the fear of rejection is there. You know, whether it's, you know, a guy going up to a girl.
Rejection doesn't actually exist, though.
No, it's
I only found out rejection didn't exist about a year ago.
Right. And how do you do it, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what's your process with that?
What, in terms of rejection? Well, let's go back to how, like, I was reading, I can't remember what book it was, but I was reading this book, and obviously I've since spoke to you and other people in this social dynamics type niche space, personal development, all that kind of stuff. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, fuck, rejection doesn't exist. And I just think, like, I will take the gym, for example. I'll walk in the gym and I'll happily talk to anyone in the gym. And there's other people that walk in the gym and I'm like, and they're standoffish with certain people because they don't know them. But I just don't believe in that context anymore. And in the answer to your question, I don't actually know. But I do. My dad was telling me a story about when I was a kid. I said to my mum and dad, like, what were my first words? And my dad said, well, your first words were, how'd you do, lady? Like, so he had taught me to introduce myself to women. From a young age. So he taught me how'd you do, and I couldn't say how'd you do because obviously I couldn't pronounce that. I was like 2 years old, so it's like how to do. And I used to go up to women in supermarkets with my mum while shopping and introduce myself to women, like any women, like old women, I don't know, like I was 2 years old. But what I'm saying is, he instilled that in me. So what you're saying is true. If you're taught something, if you're taught to do something, you're going to fucking do it. Yeah. So I was all right at that bit.
Yeah.
It's just I've had issues with other stuff, like because of my childhood that kind of fucked me up on the other side of it.
One thing, and that's a lot of people. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I was good that way. I was good at like introducing myself and getting to certain things. But then when it comes down to the relationship, because I believed for whatever reason that I'd fabricated in my mind, just looking back now, and that I boxed off probably when I was about 30 years old. Like, obviously, I've talked about this on the podcast before. I had this issue where I thought my mum loved my sister more than me.
Right.
It affected every relationship I had with a woman because I thought, I must have thought, and having talked to people like yourself in the past and this and that, and obviously tried to do something about it. I must have thought in my own mind that, how could this woman like me any more than just sleeping with me, or anything more than this, or anything more than casual? Because, like, my mum didn't even love me, and I used to, and I used to keep going back to that, and that's something you have to grow through. You have to be willing to grow through. So what I'm trying to say to you all is, I had this side of it all sorted. I was sweet with that. That's not a problem. And you can see that throughout my life.
Yeah.
But I was just focusing on that because this over here was fucked. Like, because the negative connotation was already preset.
Yeah.
So you have to reprogram it.
A little bit. Yeah, you do have to and again, that's where you have a fear and you conquer the fear, and then you realize your brain wasn't telling the truth.
But I do want you to go into the fact of how people can do it, because I can't. You asked me, how did I do it?
Yeah, for sure.
The only way I can say it, in all honesty, Sam, is the fact that I've spoken to a lot of people like yourself and other people along the way, and read a lot of books to try and learn, and I've journaled.
Yes.
I've journaled about it. And the way that I do it is simply this. I try and understand, okay, why do I feel like that? And then I'd go back and I'm like, where did that first appear in my life?
Yes. Okay.
And how did that appear? Okay. And then I try and look at that situation from an adult set of eyes, and I try and get over it from that point onwards.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I find peace, and it's like I've took that pebble out of my shoe and fucked it off down the road.
100%. Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going through life picking up a lot of pebbles, putting them in their shoe and carrying them with them, and you don't need to.
No, you can take it out.
You just take it out.
Drop it off. Yeah.
You can just fuck it off. You don't have to. You know that lad that left you? Yeah, it doesn't matter a fuck. You know that girl that cheated on you? Her problem.
Yeah.
Her issue. When she cheats on you, that has nothing to do with you. That's not your problem. That's her low self-worth, bruv. Forget about it. When he cheats on you, that doesn't mean that you're a bad woman.
No.
That means that he's got low self-worth issues within himself, in my opinion.
Yes,
and I think it's the truth.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, that's definitely what I tell people for sure. It's like, a lot of the time it's not you. And it's as the quote, I remember I was watching Seinfeld. It's not you, George, it's me.
Yeah, fuck it.
George is like, what? It's like, but a lot of the time it's like, you take that responsibility when there's outside factors that are not your responsibility. You can't control the other person.
Exactly.
When you go into any relationship, I think a lot of people think they come into, what happens is that instead of an interdependent relationship where there's two individuals that link, that still do their own stuff and still have their own realities and their own lives, a lot of people go in a codependent relationship. And then what happens is, say if a partner cheats on them, they're so intertwined physically, emotionally, energetically that because they're intertwined and this person's done this, that it affects the other person so dramatically and physically and emotionally, because on a spiritual and esoteric level, your energies are broken. You've broken something, so you feel that pain because it's actually real pain. I have this theory about breakups. You want to hear it? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, go on.
Theory about breakups, and then we'll go on the rejection part. But the theory about breakups is that, have you ever seen like people either do something after a breakup, whether they
so a lot of people, the classic example is like, if you break up with a woman, go and sleep with another one. Do you know what I mean?
Theoretically, but I'm thinking about more, guys, they sometimes go to the gym, they get their bodies back, or girls go to the bodies back.
Revenge body,
Or, a lot of people get tattoos, or they might cut their hair differently, or they might dye their hair differently. They change something. They might change their appearance, or they might change something. And my understanding about this, and this is not scientifically proven, but it's a theory, it's that because, a lot of the time we've grown up with, codependent parents and we don't really understand the idea about interdependent people. And you've seen some of them. You will see the relationships with two individuals, and they exist on the same, and they're just, they might bicker and banter, but they love each other, but they're two different people. They're not the same person, It's not like you have you ask, Jenny a question and Brad answers for Jenny. That's a codependent relationship,
Right.
He's like answering for her or she's answering for him. It's like, he's a big boy or she's a big girl. It's like they can answer the question themselves, you know what I mean? So we've never really seen too much of interdependent relationships, which is out of the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I understand is because people have this innate reaction about a relationship where they go and change something, right? And my understanding is that when you're in a relationship with people, on an energetic level, we're going to get a bit spiritual, that you are connecting with that person. There's a lot of chemicals. There's a lot of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, being all the love chemicals in the honeymoon period and stuff like that. And I feel like the body doesn't know what to do with an overload of that because it's never had it like that before. So what it does is it embeds it into the muscles, the cells, the fibers, everything in the body, right?
Yep.
And when we have a breakup, the reason why it's so painful is because on an energetic level, that is being broken apart. So when people go and change themselves, it's a way, especially at the gym, you go super hard for the breakup. I remember I got broken up with on Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. This was the girl that, spiraled me down to depression. I went to the gym and squatted 185 kilo as a fucking 18-year-old because I wanted to break my body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I think is that because there's a change, or all the cells in our body are so intertwined, is that the body knows that it's had this break and it wants to destroy the cells that have all those love chemicals that have that connection, so that it can repair it and not have that connection with that other person. So the body knows. This is my theory. The body knows in order to survive, we have to we have to break down the cells, and that's why you see people just get on the booze and stuff like that. Hardcore get on the drugs, because theoretically it makes sense when you break everything down, the body has to repair it, but this time it doesn't have the chemicals that are aligned in the other ones because it's been broken. That's my theory, anyway.
Mate, I can see where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there that turn to drink, drugs, and all these kind of outside factors, going out late nights at clubs, all this kind of stuff, to get over certain topics and certain events in their life. Not just breakups, but other things as well, like losing a lot of money or having a bad connotation about this.
Anything, you on a cellular level are attached to it. Which is crazy, which is insane and stuff like that. But, going back to,
But people love that attachment.
Oh, they do. Yeah, because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
It comes back to the heroin. I don't do heroin because I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's what he said to me. I was a kid. And I still remember that quote because it was like embedded in my brain. It's like everyone,
you have to like it to do it.
Everyone does things because they like to do it. And that's not in terms of, there's boundaries and stuff, but, let's just say it's like drama. Let's just say, let's take it on the drama, you know what I mean? Like, backstabbing someone, talk behind someone's back. It's because those people like to do that. Whether it's like the people that like to go to the gym, they like to go to the gym. It's like, a lot of time it's like the brain is very, very a simple mechanism, but very complex. And I don't mean this to everything. There is boundaries to everything that I'm saying, hope that people understand that. But, a lot of the time it's like people don't commit, fraud or something. They like the feeling of getting away with frauding the government. They've taken all my tax, so I'm going to get them back. They don't do it unless they like it,
Yeah. And 100%. And they get rewarded in their own mind for that by doing it, which means that if they're rewarded by the dopamine for doing it, it's an episode that gets continually repeated throughout your life until you choose to sit down and have a word with yourself.
Yeah, and that's being honest.
And it's being honest with yourself.
Yeah, that's what I did when I first started. Honesty. I absolutely suck at communicating with people. That's it. I suck at it. That's what I said. I was like, look, I'm going to humble myself and become the biggest student of it until I can know and learn how to do it. And one of the things was with rejection. And so the first one, I'll give you the esoteric, energetic level, and I'll give you the practical level. The practical level is progressive desensitization. So going out and talking to people with the fear that you might get rejected by them
But once you know that rejection doesn't exist.
Over and over and over. Now, what happens, let's go into your mentality, that thing, because the audience will not understand you. They can't get that out of their head. Because you've seen the evidence that's backed your theory up, remember?
Yeah, now I have.
They have evidence that backs their theory up, that rejection is very possible. I saw it yesterday. I went and talked to someone and they told me to fuck off. It's like, how do you tell that person that doesn't exist when they just got it? Now, the thing is that you've come up with the idea that you may get rejected during your day, but what your brain does is filters it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sees only, oh no, that person was probably having a bad day.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just like, maybe that woman, like, her cat got run over this morning.
Who knows? Like, there's so many factors.
Or maybe her husband cheated on her, or maybe he's just lost his mum.
Yeah.
I just constantly through my mind is like, I always try now and think about, okay, cool, that experience didn't go well with that person, but let's just, how could that person be feeling today?
That's where progressive desensitization comes in. The more and more you get rejected, the more you convince your brain and give it evidence to say when we get rejected by someone, perceived rejection, it is not real and it's not going to kill us. And so when there's evidence that backs a whole different theory up.
Do you know how I got over rejection?
You got rejected a lot?
No.
Okay.
I started to not take things personally.
Okay.
That is how you get rid of rejection. Mm-hmm. Because rejection is taking something that someone says to you personally, mm-hmm. and then because you've taken it personally, mm-hmm. you're allowing that to hurt you because you've took it on. It's your issue. You've took someone else's issue outside issue.
Yeah.
You took someone else's outside issue and made it a part of you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
I can see that. Yeah.
That's the way I thought about it,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not fucking a good idea, Frankie boy.
Yeah.
Forget that.
100%. Yeah.
And change your life.
Yeah.
In an instant.
For sure. And the more that you can back that up, the better. You know what I mean?
Back it up every day, bro.
For sure.
Every
it's
day.
like, I've been in nightclubs and had, people, let's take a hypothetical scenario. You go up and talk to someone, hi, how you going? Nice to meet you. I'm Sam. Why the fuck would I talk to you? You're scum. And that's what you get as a return. You're like, now it becomes, now I'm going to go down that.
I'll be like, do you know what I think? That's a podcast.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Because some people, that I've dealt with, they get that type of reaction because they just don't know the social cues of life. They don't know how to read someone, their energetic body, their body language. So they might get that. And for me, it's like the only reason why I'm very good at what I do is simply because I've got rejected a hell of a lot of times and learnt from that. But I didn't take it as like, why me? Victimhood mentality. I never took it like that because if you have a victimhood mentality, you're going to think, why is it done to me? Why is this? Why that? Why can't I be like Brad, that 6'1" that has every girl after him? Why can't I be like that? Right? That's when you're fucking your mental side. You're like, looking at other people, comparing yourself to other people. Instead, what I took it, instead of victimhood, I thought, it's just another part of life. I don't know what they've done. And another thing too, what can I learn a little bit? So now it's like the guys that we learn, one of our mentors that we were at, Lewis, he talks about that fear neutralization. From that rejection, what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn? And it brings it from this non-scary thing to like, it's not a terrible thing that's happened. So if you have a look, in a lot of times, it's like the only reason why you're successful, and this is what I think, this is where progressive desensitization, the only reason why I'm successful is because I've fucked it up a lot. And I've learned.
The reps. It's the reps. It's the same with a podcast. It's the same with a podcast. But here's I'll try and put this into a context so that people understand. It's like, I can either, with rejection, so say, if you perceive a woman to have rejected you, right, or a man to have rejected you, if you're a woman, and now you're teaching your mind to think that other people would do that to you, so you're bringing more of that about in your life because it's what you're thinking about. In my opinion, you agree?
Yes.
Right. So here's the thing. Put it into context for my podcast. Right. From day one, I started the podcast. I know this podcast is gonna dominate in this country and others. I know that. Personally, I know that. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I know that. Because I know that, and because I'm certain within myself, I book the guests that I book because of that. Right? And the guests are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and this podcast is gonna get more momentum and more momentum because I'm certain. I'm not choosing there have been big guests that have not got back to me. I don't take it I'm trying to book Mick Fano on the podcast, one of the best surfers that's ever been, right? He hasn't answered my voice note on Instagram. I'm not going to take it personally. I will have Mick on the sofa. I promise you he'll be here. I don't have to worry about when it happens.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I don't give a fuck about when it happens. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it personally that he didn't get back to me. I'll give you an example. DJ Brooklyn.
Yeah.
3 weeks. I could have felt rejected for 3 weeks before she got back to me.
Yeah.
But she got back to me
Eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't sat there worrying about that DJ Brooklyn didn't return my message. Doesn't matter a fuck. It's like, who cares?
Yes.
It's like you choose what you take personally.
Yes.
And I'm suggesting that you take fuck all personally, because if you do, you are opening yourself wide up to feeling like shit.
Yeah, that's
simple.
an awesome way to think about it, for sure.
Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way I've broke it down for myself.
It's the self-confidence that you have in yourself, and that kind of that clear goal, that clear vision. You know what I mean? People are jumping on because of the clear vision, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, and
that North Star where you're just fucking rocketing at it, you know?
Yeah.
And people feel that energy from you.
Yeah.
They feel that, like, oh, this is something I want to hop on, you know? This is something I want to get a part of, because it's like, again, that comes down to a concept that I talk about, which is called the law of state transference. I learned it from my mentor. So whatever emotions that you feel, if you feel happy, sad, indifferent,
they transpire
energetically. A great analogy for the viewers is that you walk into a room, you can almost tell when someone's angry.
Yeah.
You haven't even seen their body. You can just tell there's an eerie feeling.
Yeah.
That's the energy pulsating out of someone. You can tell when, like, someone's ecstatic and happy. They don't have to make a sound. You can just see them jumping for joy, and that we correlate that as, like, happiness, and then we feel happy. Great analogy is you go on a YouTube and type in Skype laughing trend or Skype laughing chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see this one baby starts laughing, and then these two security guards laugh, and then these other, and it goes on for like 12 minutes of just people laughing, and everyone's got a funny laugh, right?
Yeah.
But it goes on, and you just feel the emotions being transferred, because they each showed, like, there's a baby and then the security guards, and then the security guards are being shown to the next one, and it just, it grows because of this emotion that is coming out of them. And that's one thing that you have to have some kind of reciprocation with people, like to be like emotionally entwined. Do you know what I mean? To even be present. Yes,
it's like if someone yawns, a lot of the time people will yawn too, because like it's a habitual, habitual response.
But yeah, that's 100%. And I don't teach anyone about the bonding over trauma or anything like that. I teach high vibrational energy and bonding over high vibrational things, what makes you happy. And humor is one of the greatest bond connections of anything, you know. Humor, positive emotions, and this high vibrational energy, and that you've got a clear goal, clear vision and stuff like that. They're the ones that I feel like I bond with the people so much better. You know, just in general. So if we went back to the other thing, it's like the first thing that I can get someone to do is go outside your comfort zone, learn how to speak pure positivity and not negativity towards people.
Yeah,
that's the second thing.
Listen to how you talk to yourself,
how you talk to other people, how you write yourself, how you write down, and journaling, get those emotions out. Number 3 is tackling the old issues, the old traumas, and understanding that they were manipulated by you, or if it was a trauma, tackling it and becoming and letting it go, and understanding that that's part of you, in terms of that's part of your personality, that's part of your journey.
And there's nothing wrong with becoming a different version of yourself.
100%. That Charmander to Charizard. Then
there's nothing wrong with that. And if your friends or your surroundings don't agree with it, that's a positive thing for you, because that means that they're not your people.
And you're going to elevate.
That means you're going to elevate somewhere else that is your people. There's a lot of girls out there, a lot of men out there that are in these environments that are like let's be seen here kind of crowds, and the girl might be a hippie, but she's in the clique of like, oh yeah, I'm getting my lips done, I'm getting this done, I'm getting that, but she might be a hippie. Nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? The guy could be he might be a guy that wants to play chess, but he's with the guys that want to go out picking up birds on the weekend. I don't know. I'm just trying to give you examples of the fact that you might not be living your true reality. Yeah,
or in alignment to you.
Congruency, we call it. Congruent with who you could be.
Yeah, 100%. Your mind, body, and spirit have got to be congruent. If there's a little bit of an alter in there, a little bit of a discongruency, it'll be shown through body language and certain things, and it'll be known. And that's one of the biggest things that I teach a lot of guys that are learning about male to female dynamics, is that if you are not congruent to yourself, the person that you were talking to will pick up that. Girls are the craziest thing is girls are 100 times more perceptive than men will ever be.
Yep.
They're
100%.
very, like they can perceive so many different things that we can't even conjugate in our brain. It's like, how did you pick that up? And it's happened multiple times. They're so good at picking up minute social interactions and social details that unless you are the most congruent version of yourself,
100%,
and you're trying to be that fake, they will pick it up instantly. Just instantly. It's crazy. That's the thing. And for the girls, you know, you know, because, you know, you can see other girls, you know their intentions before they even come up here, and you know a guy's intention before he even comes up here, and the guys can be like, well, how did you know? It's like, yo, bro, it's like,
they feel it. Women are so in tune to that.
And congruency is energy,
If they let themselves feel it authentically, though, not dreaming up situations that don't even exist in the world, because there's two sides to that from the female side of things that I've seen personally.
Okay.
I've had women show me my true self by holding up the mirror and saying, do you realise that you do this and this is a pattern event that happens in your life? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm grateful for that, because you've now showed me something I can go away, journal about and fix. Fantastic. But then I've also felt in recent times that certain things are being brought in as a problem that don't exist. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's not cool. That doesn't vibe well with me. Because when I go through it and I work through that, I'm like, well, that doesn't line up with, that doesn't actually line up. There's nothing, that's actually your issue, but that's being projected onto me. So you have you have to be understanding of like, you can take on certain things, but you don't have to but you can pick and choose what you take on, but just make sure you're honest with yourself enough within yourself that you can pick the right things to take on and fix, and fuck off the things that are
there's this balance of everything. You know what I mean? There's this huge balance between anything, and that's where the thing is, like, there's so many ways you can look at all of that dynamics, especially with that, because that's what fascinated. That's what first got me into it, you know, learning that sort of male female dynamic, being able to attract people, and from there, that's when the real nuances of social communication really are shown through when you're trying to attract someone that you're attracted to, you know? Whether it's a guy going a girl going for a guy, a girl for a girl, guy for a guy, or whatever the denominations are. It's like, when it really comes down to it, all of attraction is based in, like, you know, how much value the person has in your eyes, how much comfort you have with the person, how attracted you are, you know, is there, there's so many layers that we have, and sometimes what happens is that when someone doesn't find a mate, or they're having trouble, is that they have these traumas from their past, or their childhood and stuff like that stop them and allow them to open up, or allow them to see the opportunities, or allow them to be close with one another. Because one of the big things that I'm seeing nowadays is that people's inability to really be raw and true and real with them. I remember a girl saying to me once, and saying to a couple other people I've heard, it's like, Sam, be present, be here, be you, and it's like, yo, I'm me. I'm just making around. I'm like, okay, I'll be George Clooney. And then it's like, no, be here, and it, you know, the whys, until you get the really raw truth, and then it's like, yo, and then it's like, yo, we're actually here. And then a lot of people, as I said before, they're very unconscious, and you know, it's the ability to learn how to be present, how to be conscious, how to be here.
Well, if you're not present and you're not your true self, or you're not on the pathway to finding that, you create dis-ease in your mind, which creates disease in your body.
So Joe Dispenza, for sure.
Right? Joe Dispenza, very fucking intelligent guy.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't get ill.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So when I do get ill, there's dis-ease in my mind. So I want to know where that has come from.
The stress, the anxiety.
And then when you figure out where that comes from, you need to remove that stress, or fix it, or do something with it to get rid of it, because that's it. So if you're getting a cold, for argument's sake, I don't care what anyone says, you don't just get colds just because someone else has a cold and they pass it to you. That doesn't happen like that. That's bullshit. Because if you're high in vitamin C and all this stuff and this, that, and the other, some people just don't get it because they're joyful people. I'm 100% believe it, man. Like, it comes from a dis-ease.
Yeah.
Like within yourself, and then and stress, and then that's when you get ill.
Yeah, or a dishonesty, or a incongruency,
Yeah,
something
100%,
like that. Yeah,
100%.
and one of the things is, that's an amazing point, because when people say to these, one of the classic examples, they're like, it's easy for a guy to pick up a girl, just be yourself. That's one of the classic ones, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just be yourself. And a lot of the time what's happened is that a lot of these people don't know who they are. And a lot of people don't know who they are, and I could point it out. You place someone in me, and I can find the incongruency within them, because it's like they've had mummy and daddy tell them who they should be. They've had their brothers and sisters tell them they can't be this, can't be that. Schools told them you can't be this, you have to be that. Don't be creative, don't talk to this person. If you're going to talk to them, we're going to put you in detention. You've had friends tell you, why the fuck you want to be doing that? When I first got into this, every friend thought I was weird. Why are you trying to learn all this stuff? What's wrong with you? Why can't you just be normal? And I was like, yo, we're the one that are all not normal. You know what I mean? Learning all this stuff and learning how to improve yourself and be better. That's normal.
And I bet none of those are friends now.
No, I got no friends from school. Funny thing is, went back to Sydney and they're all just like, oh, can you teach me? Can I have some help? And it's like, yo, you weren't honest with yourself 7 years or, more 9 years ago when I was.
I was a couple of episodes into this podcast, and I got a message from a European girl that I'd previously dated, a voice memo on my phone. She was living in Brisbane at the time. And it was just basically her like, oh, Frankie, why are you doing a podcast? It's a stupid idea. Like, why don't you just go back? All this, just her projecting all this negative energy. And I thought to myself, fuck, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I just laughed, right? Because you have to laugh, because one, I didn't take it personally. I just thought, oh, yeah, you're fucked. And secondly, I thought to myself, do you know what? Like, that just goes to show you why that was a good thing that didn't go any further. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because people, if they're not your people, then they need to fuck off anyway. As a natural thing. Yeah. And all it does by getting more and more centered towards who you are is allow you to be truly in your true self and in your true people, whoever those people may be.
Exactly.
And then you are now content, you are now happy, you are now at peace. And your whole goal should be to find that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that if you can find that, or if you're living that, fucking clap yourself, man.
Yeah.
And understand that. And I'm working towards that every day, and getting to staying online with it. And that's why when I found podcasting, and when I was like, fuck, this is my purpose, man. I couldn't give a fuck what fucking Tina or Joe or fucking whoever fucking thinks about this. Because that's not who I'm trying to do this for.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm doing this because it's my purpose, man.
Yeah.
Like,
where a lot of people would receive that and be like, oh, you're right. And then, and cower themselves. And that's like, Australia, I love Australia for it, but we dull a lot of people's spark and their star.
Do you reckon?
Tall poppy syndrome, cut the tall poppy, Do
you reckon, or do you reckon that's something that because you're taught it, you believe it? But I don't know if it's
There's two things that I see. I see the evidence that backs your theory that you just said, like whether that's a conjure from the government or society or anything like that. And I see my thing because, number one, it's like we banter. English people banter. We banter. It's
English
like,
people definitely banter.
And it's maybe not Australia. Maybe just like England.
I think it's the world. I think it's just humans in general.
But until you go to the US, and the US, for some reason, maybe it was because I was with high vibrational people, but they repost everything of what other people are doing. They encourage everything they're doing. If you're giving it a go, they like you. We like you. You're giving it a go, right? If you're giving it a go here, you're fucking weird. Stop doing that. Stop stepping outside of the bubble or the idea we have for you. You're stepping outside of it. We don't like you anymore. And then they put the pressure of like you'll be out of the tribe, right? Yeah, they do that, and it's a real manipulative thing. And then so people just cower and they don't be their full authentic self. Yeah, again, because there's a difference between just be you and just be your authentic self. Because your authentic self, I can guarantee you, the people around you are not going to like your authentic self. Because it's going to be a completely different version than the one they know right now. Yeah. Yeah, and you can get
And then if you 100%, and then it's hard to break that because you kind of set yourself
So
up
that's where I
for-
see the thing, because then I see, oh, well, is that just the people I'm around? Like, I'm in a geographical location, the Gold Coast. Is that just what I see? You know, because frankly, I have a theory, and then I get all the evidence to prove it, and then I try to disprove it. So I know.
Yeah.
And when I can't disprove it, and I can prove it more than I can disprove it, I know I'm pretty much on the thing, but I try to disprove my own theory.
100%. You should always test every theory that you have about
Yeah.
life. I caught myself blaming someone for something the other day, and I like, Frankie, you got to test your theory now, man, because you're talking bollocks.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You're talking bollocks to yourself.
100%.
Don't chat shit to yourself, man. Take responsibility,
Yep.
because when you take it, it frees you,
Yeah.
and then you can be at peace. But
Yeah.
by holding that little bit of needle against anybody,
Yeah.
or that opinion, holding an opinion or anything like that, as soon as you start to hold something,
It makes you feel good too.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
In the past, yes.
Made you feel good?
Yes. It served me in the past, but not in the right way.
Yes. Okay.
Not.
Well, probably now that you've worked out that putting the responsibility of you feels good now because you're taking ownership.
Yeah.
In the past, I see a lot of people, that's the harder choice, to take
Yeah.
responsibility, and the easier choice is to blame other people for their shortcomings and their misfortunes. That's what I've seen a lot of people say, that not the general population, but just a large mass of the population. It's easier to blame other people because it's easier for them. It takes less mental work, and it makes them more unconscious because they don't have to think. They don't have to think properly. You know?
Yeah, and
that's where you've changed.
I'm glad that we are talking about this as a podcast, because I want anybody who's listening to this to level up way beyond where they are right now. Even if they think they're at the top of the fucking tree, I want them to level up way more than they are now. I want to level myself up more. I want more for you and everyone who listens to this. I really fucking mean that.
It's incredible.
And if you can't, if you're not looking to get that, you're listening to the wrong fucking podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that is literally what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to level up myself with this, and I'm trying to bring everyone up as well that needs to fucking bring it up, whether that be in business, personal development, mindset, whether it be learning how to build a clothing brand or this, that, and the other, whatever it might be.
There's something
in it that needs to be shared so that other people we can all go.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And if you can't see that vision for yourself, that's the biggest thing too. You know, that vision, that idea.
How can people then?
Yeah.
So this is a good one.
Yeah.
How can people that listen to this right now create that vision for themselves so that they can elevate at a faster rate than what they ever would if they just sat there and did nothing right now?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the biggest things, the reason why I'm a very visual person, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when I found this company, they had YouTube videos of thousands. So I watched thousands multiple times. You know, I'm very visual. First of all, I would say, what are you? Are you a kinesthetic? Are you visual? Are you audio and stuff like that? Because some people listening to your podcast would learn audio better. I can't do it. I need to see it. I need to see it and hear it. So I'm taking twice.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing was like, what I've recently found out is Pinterest is my best friend. Pinterest. So the idea, you know what Pinterest is?
Yeah, I know what Pinterest is. I'm just trying to process how this is your best friend.
Yeah, so Pinterest is the idea where I'm finding where this new ideal version of myself, the version I want to create for myself, I'm nowhere near.
You create it in Pinterest.
And I see visual stimulus and visual evidence. And the reason why I choose particular photos over particular ones is the emotional response it gives me, right?
Right, I love this.
And because you're getting thousands upon thousands of images that are directly correlated to your specific niche that you want, mine might be, the other day I was looking at ideal activities I want to do in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I was having a look and none picked out until one picked out, and it was four-wheel drive, like, you know, quad bikes on a desert. I didn't know I liked that. As soon as I saw it, I had a fucking emotional reaction. I was like, yo, like I felt it. I could even picture myself there. And that was the biggest thing, is like you and the ideal version of you.
So turn this into your kind of like your vision type thing.
Yeah. So this idea, this thing where you are here and you are there are almost identical, and you're progressing at the same time. It's about leveling your vibration, about becoming clear on your goals, having an ideal picture in your head. It's like, you know, you have a look at McGregor. Even when McGregor landed that shot on Aldo, you saw him in the locker perfecting it. You saw him
Yeah.
6 months before.
He told him how it was going to happen.
Yeah, and this is the law of attraction. This is everything like that. But it even goes further than that. It's this putting this idea and this picture in your mind that's so crystal clear that it can't not happen. You know what I mean? If you want to go even deeper, he actually got the whole wall of his gym that photo. He got he got a mural painted.
Yeah.
So he predicted it. He saw it so clearly in his head, and
it became a reality.
It became a reality.
So when he saw the shot, he took it. Whether that was at 11 seconds or whether that was at 3
11
minutes.
seconds. So Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. To win the belt and stuff like that. And you can even see in the locker room before he's actually perfecting that left. So and he caught him exactly like he would.
Yeah, and he just made it his reality.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. It's like, understanding that your ideal reality is in your grasp. You have to believe it, feel it, enjoy it, and then enjoying the process.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah, because it's like I was saying during this podcast earlier, it's like I know that he's coming on the podcast, so I don't worry about when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know I'll get Mick Fanning. I know everyone in this country that's noteworthy that has a good story is coming on this podcast.
Yeah, there's no doubt in your mind.
There's no fucking doubt in my mind, mate. There's no doubt. There's never been a doubt in my mind.
And one of the biggest things that they don't talk about is the ego involved in that, in terms of a different way. The idea that the ego is you have to convince yourself of the reality before it's even real, right?
Yeah.
So you're almost lying to yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have him here,
Yeah.
but you can feel and you can see it.
Yeah.
That's not real yet.
Yeah.
That's not real. That's a lie.
But I'm bringing it about.
But you're creating into a reality. So
but I'm choosing the stuff that I lied to myself about too.
Yes, exactly.
The lies that I'm telling myself.
Yes.
Are productive lies.
100%. No one talks about this. No one
talks about productive lies.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like if I'm gonna have a 6-pack abs, bolt on another 3 kilos of muscle. 100% I'm going to lie to myself that I'm already there in my head before I get there. 100% I am.
And this is where banter does come in useful. When you have your friends around and everyone and they're teasing you about not having the 6-pack abs. And you're like, oh, don't you worry, it's coming.
Yeah.
You're going to cry when you see this. You're going to be down and you're going to praise me about how I did. You're going to ask me. And now you're just creating this reality. And what happens, I've seen people just keep talking about it like this, in this way that it's already happened.
Yeah. Future pacing.
Yeah.
It's future. You got a future pace. It's like my mate Nathan, it was always his dream to build the gym. You know what I mean? He went to a gym, he vibed it, he made connections with the owner of the gym, Ian, and then together that they cooked it up and they visioned it and they built it, and with Emily as well, and that they manifested that in terms of their turn their reality to make that happen. That shit doesn't just happen without someone deciding that's what they want for themselves.
Deciding what they actually want. Same as when I hit 100K on TikTok. I decided that goal.
I was there when you decided that goal. Yeah, I was there when you decided.
3,000 followers I had.
I don't know. I think you're at 20 when we discussed what your goal was.
I've been thinking about, yes, exactly, the 100,000. I've been thinking about it for a while. And when I first started, there was so much hate about why you're doing this. This is a stupid app. You know what I mean? I had so much hate that I was on it for. I've been on it since January 2018. Why are you dabbling in this? Why that's stupid? Stop wasting your time. All of the things from all these people.
I've always encouraged you on that, even though it's not my platform, bro.
Yeah.
I've always been like, don't fucking listen to these idiots.
Just keep doubling down.
You just keep doing it. And I remember saying to you, repost.
Yeah. Repost, that definitely helped.
I guarantee you.
That gave me some momentum for sure. Yeah. I remember there was a time period where I lost a little bit of motivation. Frankie helped me for sure. And that's definitely helped, some choosing those ones, going back, and even just the idea of listening to the ones that I could repost spurred me on to post different ones again, It kind of gave me the momentum. And then from there, it's like, even in that goal, there was so many downturns, so many upturns, so many everything like that.
Yeah.
And
you got to choose who you listen to. Now, you can either listen to me.
Yeah.
And listen to me going, no, you keep going.
Yeah.
Like I remember one day you reached out to me and was talking about some fucking investment you were going to make, right? And I stopped what I was doing. Yeah. And I sent you a voice note because you pissed me off. I was like, right, this.
Yeah.
I'm like, does this guy understand what he's saying right now? So I sent you a voice note. The voice note went something along like this. I don't know what you're. You were talking to me about GameStop.
Yeah, so GameStop.
Because I invest a lot. I invest a lot of my money into stocks and crypto and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I do, and I love that, and it's great, and that's my thing, and that's my jam. Cool, wicked. But you were doing well on TikTok, and you were talking to me about GameStop, and I was like, mate, pull yourself out. Pull your head out your ass in regards to GameStop. This is not the game you're playing. The game you're playing is this. You're at 60,000 fucking followers. You're going to 100. Continue doing what you're doing and stop fucking consuming this content in terms of like stocks. Worry about stocks when you've hit your actual goal. I think it was something along those lines, right? And what I was trying to
it was 100% like that.
what I was trying to, and I think it resonated for you because then you doubled down on what you were actually meant to do and actually went and drove towards your actual goal. But that's what people are doing. People are like, oh, shiny object, boom.
Yes.
You saw that people were that paid $30 for a stock in GameStop were getting 950, and you saw cash signs, right?
You took the easy route.
But I was like, bro, you're going towards your own cash signs, but you just need to keep driving that way.
And that's where that close friends is really important. You know what I mean?
Who you surround yourself with, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. So without that, it's like, I might have, personally, I might have got it from someone else, but I don't think so. You were the perfect person for that. Yeah, but because you're my stocks guy, I go to you about anything, So even that, it was just like you were able to give me that little bit of advice that really changed everything, which was amazing.
No, 100%, man, and that's all I want to do for people in my friends group and people in my circle. It's like, and anybody that listens to this is like, I just want you to just have a different perspective than when you leave this podcast than when you came in.
Yeah, that's it.
And just be able to like, Get out what you need. You might not need what Sam was talking about in regards to relationships, but you might need his belief in getting over your childhood traumas,
or your mindset, or this or that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. It doesn't matter which bit you pick and which bit you don't, and which bit resonates with you. But I guarantee you, when you hear the bit that's meant to hit your ears at that time,
it'll hit you.
It'll hit you,
and it'll flatten you.
And it'll be. And when that fucking penny drops, you get. You at the start you feel annihilated because let's just go back to my situation. I'd spent my entire life lying to myself about and having certain issues that I was looking for within other women that I was dating or seeing because of what I previously thought about with how my mum thought of me or our relationship. Once I held that up and called fucking bullshit on it, my whole life changed in that regard. Now let's go find another trigger because it's about removing buttons in your life. Lewis taught us this. It's like go through your life and you'll find yourself a lot of buttons that people can press that piss you off, right? Your whole goal and your whole purpose is to find those buttons and remove them.
Yeah.
And that is it. And if that doesn't hit you right between the eyeballs right now, your goal in life is to find the buttons that piss you off and remove them so they no longer piss you off, so that you can just go through life and be as one with it and go and do what you're going to do and not have to fucking worry about the fact that, oh, you're pissed off because of this and you're pissed off because of that and the world's against me and fucking this person's...
Yes.
You're just taking on all these pebbles and you don't need to.
Yeah.
And that is social dynamics 101.
100%. You've maybe got it from your mom, your dad, your people you surround yourself with, and it hasn't served you. There's a lot of things that people have that it doesn't serve them. And that's the thing. It's like if they can ever come to the realization like, oh, okay, does this serve me or does this hinder me?
Yeah,
that's the one thing. It's like, it's like a personality flaw. It's like there's, and I'm not saying I'm perfect either way.
Mate, I'm far from perfect. Yeah. I'm far from perfect. Like fucking recent like woman, shall I say, a recent woman that I was kind of like, in the stratosphere with, kind of thing. There was trust issues for me within that. Okay, cool. That's my issue then. Now I'll go and sort that out.
Yeah.
So I'm unpacking. Okay, why is that there?
Yes.
Why is that there? It's obviously my fault. I'll take it all as my fault. So how do I fix that fucker? So we're working through it. Fix that fucker. And then I'll be better for the fucking...
In the future, yeah.
In the future.
I think a lot of people, they see like, a general person has about, let's just say, it could be 1, could be 10 relationships, but about 3 to 4, they have in their life. And from there, they look at every relationship. And I see, this is a big thing in Australia too. It's like they look at a lot of people condemn their ex-boyfriends or this or that, and sure, they might have done terrible things. I'm not saying that. I'm not, not saying that. But they talk very badly about it. And I say, look, I talk highly of every ex I've ever had because they've
why shouldn't you?
Because they've taught me something. Even though it had broke down and didn't work out, they taught me something that no one else could teach me.
100%.
And whether you look back, because, you see, there might be a young girl, let's just say, and she's like, oh, yeah, did I date him? Oh, don't talk about him. I never, ew, that's yuck. You know what I mean? You're like, young people are. But the funny thing is that it's like every person that comes into your life teaches you something. You are the one that either accepts that they teach you something and learn from it, or you don't. You know what I mean? And, obviously, whenever you go into all these situations, there's so many complexities that people have had different things, How can you say this happened when this happened? It's like, again, work out what were the byproducts of the bad thing that happened.
Yeah.
And see how it progressed you. For me, I had no friends, no one liked me, and I was a very shy and insecure kid and played golf, right? That was a terrible thing that couldn't attract anyone. And from that, I launched, I was interested in social dynamics. From there, what did it cause me? Oh, that interest caused me to gain a little bit more confidence. Just even 2 steps. That's
taking you past the comfort zone.
Yes, exactly. That bad situation has actually just 2 steps made me better.
But here's another thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to resonate with a lot of people.
Sure.
A lot of people have a bad connotation with money.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? In my personal experience, people that I've met in life, certain people have had a bad connotation with money.
Sure.
They're not in my life now because I don't hang around with people that have a bad connotation with money because it's a fucked and flawed idea. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the more money you can make, the more people you can serve, the more people you can help. If you don't think of money like that and you think of it as a bad thing, I just don't want to hang around with you.
Sure, yeah.
But people have this negative mindset on money, and guess what? They attract people to them that will take their money off them.
Yeah, they'll create scenarios. Yeah.
Because they create the scenario that they don't want to happen.
Well, that's a great example. The ones that think that, you've got to be tall, good looking and rich to pull all the birds and stuff. It's like they will continually bring and see evidence that backs that theory up. It's the greatest thing in the world. The brain will find evidence to back its theories up.
Yeah. So always question your... Not so much. Don't question yourself. Always back yourself when you've got that thought. But you got to see things from both or 1, 2, or 3 angles. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to go into it like that.
Don't just impulsively a thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. That's where you go wrong. And the impulse is like actually become conscious and think. Okay, is that me talking? Is that like just the impulse me talking? Is this the... Okay, and you have a gut feeling, a gut check, and you're like, no, that's right. Boom.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some things that later turn out to be 100% false.
Yeah.
It's with a nation.
But don't take it personally.
But don't take it personally. Just go.
Because if you do take it personally, you wear it like a badge of honor.
Roll with the punches and then go from there. It's like, again, you're going to learn something from that. Again,
I'll give you another example where I used to punish myself a lot. Physically, with boxing in the gym, right?
Yep.
My boxing training, I'm very passionate about my boxing training. I always want to bring the best 15 round Frankie can bring. Like bring 15 rounds of fire. The other day I go in the gym. I've just come off the back of having a bit of a cold, a bit of Dale. I've not done a podcast for a few weeks. I'm like, right, I've took some pre-workout, get down to the gym. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to smash this. After round 3 comes round, and I'm like, my hands ain't moving fast enough. My feet are slow. I can't even think of the combinations I'm throwing. So all I did was I stopped judging myself. I'm like, okay, cool, Frankie, you have off days. It's all good. I just put a little bit of Marvin Gaye on, a little bit of Biggie Smalls, mix it up a bit, different flavors, And I just danced, mate. I just had a little bit of a dance around the back. Not doing no work, but I didn't judge myself for it. Whereas before, what would have happened is I would have been like, that wasn't good enough. And I would have made me angry. It would have been, you go down this rabbit hole. And guess what? When you go down a rabbit hole you're angry about the fact that you've not put in a good workout, or you're angry at the fact that you didn't answer back when your boss told you something, or you're angry with the fact that you didn't tell that person what you really thought of them, right? Then you get home and you start to find other problems within your life as well, and then it starts to fester and starts to go into other areas. And that is what I've learned about myself, that you got to leave every situation you find yourself as close to peace as possible, and not punish yourself. That's why I smile even when I've had a shit workout, because what is the fucking point in not smiling? You know what I mean?
100%,
you don't have to you choose where you live, and don't live in a low vibration energy for yourself. 100%. You owe it to yourself not to do that.
100%. No, that's awesome, especially when you get rejected. It's like, there's so many things. Oh, I fucked that up. I did this. What's wrong with me? It's like, yo, they got a 2-second impression from you. Yeah. And you're judging yourself based off someone that got a 2-second impression of you.
I've just removed the word rejection from my life. Well, I mean, you say when you get rejected, I just don't believe it happens. I don't believe rejection happens.
Right.
I will not believe rejection happens, bro.
Sure, yeah.
Because as soon as you take on the word and add rejection into your into your words that you use, you're making it a reality.
Right.
And I just don't believe it.
I think for me, it's like I use that terminology. Not only it relates to people.
You have to use it because it relates to what you do.
But it sharpens my sword.
Yeah.
It sharpens me. You know, a lot of time, people will say different things, and it's like, by someone not liking me, it keeps me sharp. It keeps me on point. It keeps me, what could I have done better? And how to improve that? Okay, sweet. Next one. But not everyone has that mentality. But for me, it keeps me sharp, knowing that there's a possibility that someone gets a bad impression from me and they don't like me. Sweet. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That happens. I could DM someone, they take it the wrong way. Sweet, that happens. How do I improve in that situation? How do I sharpen it up? Go from there.
Do you know what? One thing that I do that sometimes gets me in a bit of trouble is, and I can't help it. I just have to do it. Like if it makes me laugh. I did it the other night to my mate D. Right, I see his missus post a picture on Instagram, right, and she was looking hot. So I always think to myself, if my mate's got a hot missus, I want to celebrate him.
So this is going fucking downhill.
Yeah, celebrated. So I thought, okay, cool, right. So I sent him the picture of his missus, right, and then sent him a voice note going, but I just want you to fucking know that I'm proud of you. Like, I'm fucking proud of you. And then sent him a speech. Yeah. And he's just like, and I didn't hear back from him. I thought, oh fuck, don't tell me you're offended. Like, it's just, to me that's just banter. Don't tell me you're offended. Anyway, a few minutes later, he's like, yeah, thanks, Frankie, you're a legend. And I'm like, fuck. But I thought to myself then, I better not do that too much anymore. It's like my mate Nath, I'm always telling him, I'm like, mate, you got a hot wife. Well done, mate. I'm proud of you. He's like, thanks. He's like, thanks, Frankie. I appreciate you, bro. But like, some people just will take that a little bit personal. But I don't mean it like that. I just mean like, there's so many beautiful women in the world. Sure, like we can all have one. It's not a problem. They're abundant. Beautiful men, beautiful women, abundant, right? But I just like to celebrate the fact that other people are doing well in that regard. Because I find it fucking funny, and two, I just think it's fucking. You should. I think you should big people up like that.
Well, I think there is a, as you said, there's beautiful people everywhere, but that high value, high vibrational person that you meet, that those wives are probably amazing people. They're interesting. I feel like there is a shortage of those people. You know what I mean? That's why the most beautiful, the most inspirational men and women usually find each other because they are in that high percentage. You know what I mean? Whether that's they've got their shit on point. They're 100%. They've got their fitness. They've got their money. They've got everything on point, and they're living that high value life. Because in reality, a lot of the time, it's like, that's where people deem as what is valuable in this society. And I love to get into this because this is a really interesting point, because it's like, in one half of the world, everyone thinks that those things, looks, money, and status, are very important, let's just say. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything is deemed off the geographical location. So whatever is valuable here is not valuable in, say, Romania, right? Completely
okay,
different.
okay.
But, having let's just say lucrative money around, or, is a status kind of thing. So, it's really interesting because it's like, you're celebrating that he's got a beautiful wife, based on the fact is that not everyone, even though they can have beauty, not everyone is a beautiful soul or a beautiful person.
Yeah, she's a good woman too.
Yeah, she's, that person is, and you could say that you've got an awesome husband, you know what I mean? Because there can be beautiful people, but to have an actual person that is a good, genuine person is sometimes getting rarer and rarer to find,
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the times we're dealing with a lot of shit, everyone just did with the whole, 2020, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's you've seen the best and you've seen the worst in everyone at the same time. You've seen everyone
holds up the mirror.
You've seen the best in everyone actually coming together as a whole world, but then you've also seen the worst in a lot of scenarios as well, So one of the things that I always love is I always look at that and be like, look, it is accomplishment, as you said, to have someone that you do cherish and care about, and then other people see that these people are high valued in society. Because, someone can look at you and you're raising your ranks up with, all these celebrities, but you're finding that, they're generally good people too. And that's why they're succeeding.
People are people.
Yeah.
People are people. And I've known many celebrities for years anyway. Like, I look after celebrities as a job.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Or my business looks after celebrities.
100%.
I've known celebrities for years from in England.
Yeah.
A lot of my mates are celebrities. It's like, back in the UK anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm becoming friends with them here.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, it's just a natural thing to me. But I don't see them as celebrities.
You see them as just
I see Will Sparks as Will Sparks.
Yeah, 100%.
I see Eddie Gonzalez as Eddie Gonzalez. I see people as people.
The biggest thing that I can say, is that if anyone takes inspiration, I take inspiration from celebrities and people that have done amazing things, that have actually put in the effort, put in the time and great. One of the things is, doing podcasts. Joe Rogan's done for 1,600 podcasts. That's an amazing effort. The amount of time and energy he's put into that is a real achievement. You know what I mean? Whether it's Messi, whether it's Tiger Woods, they've created achievements. You know what I mean? And instead of looking at them as a superstar that is totally out of your reach, looking at them as someone that is human, that you can accomplish very similar things if you put dedicated action to.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when I met Tom Hanks, right?
Yes, I remember. Yes, you've told me.
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
No, I remember. And the reason why me and my mate went on a walk with Tom Hanks is because we were just like, all right, Tom, we got you, mate. Like, it's not just normal.
It's normal conversation.
Normal.
Yeah.
We were asking him. He took a picture with us.
Yeah.
We didn't take a picture with him. It was like because no one. Fuck it, mate. This is ego. This is ego.
Okay.
I ain't fucking asking for a picture with Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's my ego. I'm trying to bring that down. But do you know what I mean?
100%,
it's like it's because of how you approach the situation, isn't it?
But 100%, the reason why you got a photo is probably because you didn't treat him like a fanboy.
Yeah. Oh, fuck no.
So 100%. Like, there's 10 rules that I have a YouTube video about how to befriend a celebrity, and one of the rules is you don't ask for photographs or anything like that, because you put into a category of a fan, and what they do is they know that fans have a perceptual value of them. So what they do is they put on there, I don't want to be offended, I'm not going to touch you, like, I'm going to keep my image proper. And when you don't ask for that, you get the real person. You don't get the facade that's put on, like, I've got to be perfect. These people expect perfection. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. So even though that I do say, when it came from, you probably came from more of an ego. I'm not going to take a photo. Where it's like, I don't want to.
But it's a good. But that's a good mentality to have in certain areas, because it saves you. So ego can cost you so many things, but it can also enhance you in so many ways. You just got to know how to use it right.
Oh yes, definitely. Yes.
Do you know what I mean? How to use it right. Ego is important. You need ego. You know what I mean? Ego is what drives this podcast in terms of, like, I will have a number. That's ego. It is all ego, but I'm using it in alignment with where I want to go to, rather than using it to build a wall between me and someone else. There's a huge difference in that.
Yeah, 100%. No, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when I was on a TV show in the UK, my mate was out, and I was in the green room, and there was Ashley from the Pussycat Dolls, and she was sat here. Yeah. And Rihanna's best friend, the beautiful tattoo girl, she was sat there, right?
Okay.
And everyone, they told me pre-green room that this Ashley was coming in, this Pussycat Doll, right? And they're like, oh, no one talked to her, right? And I'm like,
That's
fuck
tough
it,
to have.
fuck you. Like, it's actually from it's actually from the Pussycat Dolls, and two,
Yeah.
don't fucking tell me
What
what
to
to do, right? Anyway, I sat there and like you just rather than if I'd gone up to her and been like, oh, can I have a photo with you? You look like a pussyhole. Why would you do that? I just don't. You don't. Why would you do that? It's just a stupid thing to do. We were just sat there, we were just having a chat about all kinds of different topics and this, that, and the other. And Rihanna's mate over here was talking about her tattoos on her arm and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I just assumed we were the same.
Yeah,
because
100%.
Because we are, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. That's
Like,
the biggest thing is I am enough. Yeah.
People. Yeah, I've got enough self-belief to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to not talk to you. I'm not going to be different just because you are actually from the Pussycat Dolls.
Yes,
I couldn't give a fuck. I think you're beautiful, but you're still a woman.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
you're still a person.
Yeah, and you sat here.
Yeah.
So, but people build it up as in something they can't. Something that's
there's like
not.
a divisional barrier between you and them.
Like, oh, they've hit a level, so like there's a barrier. There's no barrier. There's no fucking barrier. You've made that barrier up. That is a conditioned thing within you. Fix it. Fuck it off. It doesn't serve you.
100%.
Doesn't serve you. If I saw Colin Farrell's here on the Gold Coast filming a film, right?
Yeah.
If I saw Colin in Broadbeach, I'd say, you're right, Cole, when are you coming on the podcast, bruv?
Yeah.
Like, and he'd be like, and now I'm talking to him as a friend.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, oh, you're Colin Farrell, can I have a picture?
Yes.
Why would I do that? I want to get him as a guest. You got to be on the level.
Yeah, proactive and actually seizing the opportunity almost.
100%.
Yeah.
Assume. Always assume you are that level, and then you can't. It doesn't matter whether other people think you are or not. That's it. That's opinions.
It's like anything. Yeah.
But you always assume that you're on that level.
On the same thing. Yeah, definitely. And the only people that will react a little bit differently if they think that they're king shit, oh, I'm better than that, I don't talk. So that's the only bad reaction you'll get, but that's few and far between. Usually they're just the most humble people you've ever met. And even when the people say, oh, he wasn't humble or this, it's like I know you've approached the situation wrong.
Yeah.
I bank. So after, because sometimes when you probably notice it, there will be people that recognize you on certain things. On TikTok, people recognize me all the time, walking down the street, especially in the Gold Coast, because it's promoted in the Gold Coast. It's like, I know that those people that say that Hailey Bieber's terrible or Justin Bieber's bad or this or that, it's like, you've approached the situation terribly wrong from a thing. You've approached them, talking at them like an object or this and that. And I bank on the celebrity more than anything else, right? Simply because of the fact it's like, every celebrity that I've met is really humble and really cool. And
they're more. A lot of them are more grounded than the people that are judging them for not being grounded.
100%. That's to do with social interactions. You know that? They've had so many. Think about how many social interactions.
Yeah, they've sharpened their sword.
So if a young person's in, let's take the Kid Leroy, right? The Kid Leroy, a famous artist from Redfern that's gone over there that was under Juice WRLD, who was the big artist that unfortunately died. You saw him when he first came. He was a little bit rough around the edges. He's from Redfern, a little bit rough from Sydney. And then as he's got more and more social engagement, social people, meeting this person, your reference experience of how many people you've met just grows. As I said, when I first started, the 10 to 20,000 approaches is how I got my reference experiences, right?
Yep.
These people are just new person, talk to this person, interview this person. So they get good at just talking to people and understanding and going off people's visual, body language and how they talk and their tonality and stuff. And from all of this, they get the experience of learning how to talk. Have you ever, what happens with golfers, right? When golfers come on the stage in the PGA Tour, they don't know how to talk to media at all. They say the most outlandish things. They say the most irresponsible things for their brands. And after a couple of years, they get branded almost. They learn how to talk to the media. They learn when to say something or say not enough or all this. And politicians are the same people too. As soon as a young politician comes on, they learn the politician vocabulary and everything like that. It's just a mass social experience, social interview, this, that, boom. And you learn, as you said, you've got much better doing the podcast the more you've done it.
The more you do it, the better you get.
Because every guest, you don't know them, they don't know you. And you've probably noticed there's some guests that are a bit standoffish, they haven't done as much, and there's some guests that are really open like me. That's because it's like, you've probably, I've put as much, it's called social momentum. That's the analogy. You know what I mean? So if you probably look back, your interview, not putting guests out there, but, your interview with, say, someone that is very more out there in the open, the public, you know what I mean? Like list a guest that was kind of more, outlandish, like your James, was it James?
Yeah, James Smith, yeah.
He was talkative, and I loved that podcast, you know what I mean? there's some people that have come from social momentum. He's talking about his book deals, he's doing that, doing this, doing that, doing that. He's gaining all this momentum of talking to different people all day, every day. And it comes back to where I said, remember when a person, they've got their job, they've got their couple of 3 friends. So really, theoretically, or their mum and dad and stuff with COVID, it's kind of kept us solved with that. We've only been able to talk to like 2 people a day. There is no social momentum can come. And I talked to you about social momentum. This is the idea that when you get up, you talk to as many people as possible during the day, and the fear of strangers, that dissipates. And so then you look at people instead of this fear, because a lot of people are looking at people with fear. And you'll see it. You'll look in people's eyes, and they have this fear look on them. You know, they're scared, and so when you do a lot of social,
I get excited to get into the lift so I can talk to someone.
You're like,
I'm like, I don't care where you are, who you're from. You're gonna talk. My goal is every time I get in the lift, we got like 39 floors.
Yep.
And you ain't getting away without talking to me, darling.
Yeah, it's like, hey, how you going? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and not because I'm hitting on her if she's a woman, or because I'm trying to put him out of. Like, if it's a bloke, not because I'm trying to put them out of context or anything like that, or make them feel any different. It's just
social interaction.
It's just because it's like it serves them because they need, humans are meant to interact.
Yeah, 100%.
And it serves me too, because obviously we're constantly just resharpening the sword.
That lift is the best thing ever. You go in, you got Gladys who's 65, and you talk. It's like my real estate agent, you know what I mean? From my years of experience of talking to older people, because people have trouble with this. I didn't know this was a thing, that people have trouble talking to older people. And I was like, why do you have trouble? They're the easiest people to get along with.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
what I mean? Especially through golf. And then I realized, hang on, I've done 10,000 hours of talking to them about the golf course. You know what I mean? So even my real estate agent, I just know how they talk, what things they like. I start to cater my language in terms of like, you know, and that's a big thing that I've done. You know, when you get more and more experienced, you're able to understand the person so much better. See, with you, I'm saying English, like sort of terminology and English things, because I know you're going to relate with them instantly. You know?
Yeah.
So with Gladys, I'm talking about the rat, you know, she's about 80. I'm talking about the Rat Pack. I'm talking about Elvis. I'm talking about this. Because that's where her, you know.
Yeah, speak to the level you're talking to.
Exactly. And sometimes, you know, this is sometimes, you know, people can get in trouble for this, but, you know, you're not going to be talking about Elvis when you're talking to an 18-year-old girl, you know, in the nightclub or something like that, because she probably doesn't even know. She doesn't know who he is. You know what I mean? But if you talk about the Kid Leroy and you talk about artists and Cardi B and this and that, she's going to understand. Or you talk about, you know, you got Jeremy, who's a 35-year-old who talks about the NFL or rugby or something like that. You start to talk to him about that.
And one person that's really good at this kind of topic and knowing and really versing himself on what he's going into, even though he may not be the expert in it, is Sam Mangan.
Okay.
So when I had Sam Mangan on the podcast, he's like, I might not be the best lawyer, but I will know the legal terminologies and the things around this and this, so that I know the game before I go into that meeting. I might not be the best packaging designer, but I want to know everything about how that goes together so that I can really get into the nuts and bolts of it when I'm in the meeting.
Well, that's like a job interview. That's like anything like that.
It's like, you prepare yourself for what you are about to go into and what you're about to face. You know what I'm saying?
It's like the Dale Carnegie thing. It's like, you know, when he goes in the office of I think it's the train guy, and he finds out that he's got like a car or a statue or something. I can't really remember what it was, and he's fascinated by that, or the cottage that he shows him. And maybe different articles where he really gets intrigued by the other person's stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that person wants to. This is one of the things I've seen is like you know the person, right? Who it is, right? But underneath that person or what they're known for, there's something that they want to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So underneath you, it's like you know, content removal. It's like the podcast, but you'll get on boxing with you. And you're not getting off that topic, you know what I mean? So, you know, we know we can have 4 or 5 hour discussion about boxing. Yeah. Because that's your passion. And I really urge people to find that thing.
Find that within the person that you want to connect with.
Yeah.
And talk and ask them about that, and they will happily just keep talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you've got, you know, YouTubers and they have YouTube channels and stuff. They don't want to talk about that at all. They want to fucking talk about their coffee label or maybe they've got a weed brand or something like that.
Like if you want to talk to Mike, who owns Macro Mike, you just talk to him about Pokemon cards, and that guy you've got him. You've got him.
You'll be evacuating the conversation there.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's enough.
It's not my jam.
Yeah.
But like if I wanted to get onto instant rapport with him, and I asked him about his fucking 9 certified Charizard.
Even
he's fucking got a hard on, bro.
He's like, well, I'm gonna tell you, Frankie, get your cup of tea and sit down. I'm about to tell you everything.
Sit down, mate. I am going to tell you how much fire this Charizard breathes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Level 9. Oh my god.
Oh my god, bruv.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, and the same with me in boxing. Like, if you want to get on rapport with me, all you have to do is ask me if Billy Joe Saunders is, or if Canelo's going to beat Billy Joe Saunders, and I will happily tell you.
I think I
will
too.
happily tell you every reason why Billy Joe Saunders is going to box Canelo's ears off, and I'll happily sit there and tell you why.
And then you want to fire you up. It would be like the Jake Paul versus the freaking...
Yeah, you talk to me about YouTubers boxing, and instantly you send me off into a stratosphere. Well, the thing is, right, what most people don't understand is I know Comedy Gamer well, right? So Comedy Gamer is a YouTuber boxed on the undercard of Jake Paul. He boxed another YouTuber, so I know him really well. He trained when I was back in the UK. He was training in the gym. He's from my city. I know him well. Cool. I get it. I understand it from him, but he's very humble, a very nice guy, made a lot of money. I like him. Some of these others, I'm like, do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a different scenario, but I understand it. But I also have the opinion now that, like everyone has the right to do it and to earn money and just to be happy with the fact that boxing's out there. So I'm just very much, rather than getting totally triggered by it like I used to be, I'm not anymore. I'm like, at least more people are watching boxing, even if it's not the right type of boxing that I love. At least they love it, and at least they're watching the sport that I love. So that's good for the sport, and I kind of see it that way
100%,
now.
yeah, it's bringing eyeballs to it.
And 100%.
Yeah.
But mate, I think we've dropped as much as we can on fucking social dynamics. People, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you want to drop your socials, your website, and all that stuff?
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
Here?
So if you want to go on Instagram, that's my biggest one. Sam Matheson too. So you can see my whole life, and then
I'll link it in there.
And then on TikTok, it's the same thing. Sam Matheson too is on TikTok, so that's where I drop all my gems, my 60-second gems.
Yeah, and you can learn all things about relationships and meeting people and befriending people and creating value within others and all kinds of different stuff that Sam drops on there. And mate,
loved it.
Good
Thank
work.
you very much for having me on.
Thank you very much for coming in. We were going to do it anyway, but you just happened a little bit sooner than we thought.
Worked it.
Anyway, guys, if you can do us a favour, if you get anything out of this and it raises any consciousness in your life as to things that may or may not have helped you, if you can just let me and Sam know on Instagram, we'd really appreciate it. Let you know what you resonated with, what you didn't. If you could share this with your friends, I would always appreciate that. If you can leave me a review on Apple, I'd appreciate that too. A comment on YouTube, a nice fucking comment too, because we're serving you here. Like a nice comment. I'm not saying call me a bald bastard. Do you know what I mean? Although it has been said. Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, guys, thank you very much. Much love, and here we go.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.